Hello, my name is Sebastian Traeger. We're here on the Reliability.com podcast, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Daniel Disney of Sanofi, and we are excited to have him. So, Daniel, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the invite and nice meeting you and spend some time together today.
It's great. We'd love to hear a little bit more about your company. In your role, I read a little bit about your company. I love the mission. We turn the impossible into the possible by discovering, developing, and delivering medicines and vaccines for millions of people around the world. It's always fun to talk to a drug dealer, and so that's what we get to do today. No, in all seriousness, why don't you go and share a little bit more about the Sanofi story and
Sure.
what it is that you all do?
Yeah, so Sanofi is a global pharmaceutical and consumer healthcare company. Um, I am currently in the consumer healthcare side of the business. And so basically, I am the plant manager for one of the plants that we process and package consumer healthcare products. Some of the brands that we do, you may be familiar with Icy Hot, Aspercreme, Cortisone 10, Gold Bond lotion. So
It's great.
yes, that's my role is
And
managing this plant.
and that's coming off the assembly line right there.
Correct. Yes,
All those products.
we basically take all of the raw materials, make it into various lotions and creams, and then do the packaging all in the plant. We'll
Great.
do that and then send it to a distribution center for as it goes out as orders come in. Yep.
Great. So as you think about just what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing in your role, or kind of what projects are you working on, and how are you tackling them?
Yeah, so I've been in manufacturing for 35 years. And the biggest challenge that is facing me, it really started during COVID and is continued today, is really just the amount of labor and the workforce is still, we're seeing labor shortages. And that is a continual challenge for us, is finding people who are willing and able to join the job market. I've had openings for several years that we have not been able to fill. It's not so much specialty type roles, the higher skilled, but pretty much just a general laborer is our biggest challenge right now.
Okay, so just to be clear, you're saying it's not necessarily reliability engineers or people in management, but it's really, folks to go in there and do some of that important work that needs to be done.
Slight caveat, there is a change among, I guess, higher skilled labor, is that it's highly competitive, right? So it's everyone is needing highly skilled, qualified people, right? And so the job market is still a shortage, so it's very competitive. Now, fortunately, we've been able to compete with most people and be able to bring in the folks that we need. But what I would basically say are standard manufacturing type jobs, machine operators, packaging techs, things like that, that is a gap for us.
Okay.
And I think it is across most of industry. I spent a lot of time talking with former coworkers and other leaders within pretty much all the manufacturing industry. Of course, you can see it anytime you go out, right? Everyone is hiring, right? Trying to hire and get good people. So that is, in my opinion, the biggest challenge that I'm facing now and have really since COVID. And I would hope that this would change in the near future, but I am not optimistic that we're going to see a significant turnaround in the short term. Yeah.
And so what are kind of the follow-on problems from that? What are you unable to do, or what impact does that have on the operations of the plant, on the business?
Correct. So we still have to meet the demands, right? You have to get the orders out. So what we are looking at is, and it necessitates more of an automation mindset, continually looking for affordable automation solutions, more cobots, robots, just that overall, essentially replacing people, to do the
Mm.
jobs. And that is a big focus for me for this year, is
Mm.
continually looking and striving. We have a lot of projects really just centered around that, uh, because we still have to meet the demand. We have to get the products out with less people. And so going back to your point about reliability is even more important, as it always has been. Um, you know, when we hit the button to run, we need to run, and it's even more so now due to essentially running with less people, and or maybe not as highly qualified people as we might have had previously.
Okay. Well, that's a good segue. My next question was just you mentioned robotics and maybe introducing some of that. In your case, it's interesting. I know people are always afraid of robots replacing their jobs. In your case, it's like we actually can't find people, so hence, like we're turning to robots almost. It's not
Exactly.
a matter of replacing. It's like we're just kind of. So how do you ensure that level of innovation without compromising reliability?
Yeah. So on the front end, I think it's very critical to establish the standards that and the expectations for whatever type of automation or piece of equipment that you're going to be bringing in. Supplying that to the vendors, and that we have a pretty rigorous qualification process, and staying in touch with them to qualify the piece of equipment against those standards.
Hmm.
For us, we will call out autonomous maintenance level 3, where we have a lot of our standards built in already, that minimizes some of the work that we would need to do once it comes in, but it also reassures us that the piece of equipment can meet the reliability requirements that we have coming in.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's good. Um, and somewhat related to that, when you think about operating your plant, what are some of the key KPIs that you're working towards? Are you focused on reducing downtime, increasing quality? How do you think about that, just in terms of big picture goals that whether humans or robots or reliability, all of that serves those larger goals?
Yeah, great question. I mean, obviously, the top two that always jump out, which really gives us the right to operate, is it's a safe piece of equipment, right? We have to protect our people, and then also we have to protect the brand. So we're producing high quality product. So we have to ensure before we do anything else, any other metrics, that we're meeting our safety objectives, and also the product coming off meets our stringent quality demands. After that, obviously, we always want to, we use OEE as a metric to really understand our operational effectiveness, and always want to target world-class results there. That is one. And with that, right, initially began tracking downtime, stops, um, breakdowns accordingly. For us, we meet every week. We call it a
Hmm.
war, which basically look at the previous week's downtime, OEE, breakdowns, for any types of trends that we may need to specifically target. Usually it will come out of following either capability building from a person that might have had a knowledge gap, and or some type of systemic follow-up, either through, it's all about maintaining base condition of the equipment, right?
Hmm.
And with the TPM mindset of building that capability in our people, but also building the systems through autonomous maintenance, progressive maintenance, and using those tools to maintain the piece of equipment in the condition that it needs to, so it is operating at the levels that we need it to.
It's great. It's good. That's really helpful. Yeah, and I think it's always good to hear what folks are kind of solving for, what their KPIs are. It's just good for folks to learn from each other in that area. Maybe sometimes they haven't thought of that or haven't even considered those, or maybe I think sometimes you can get lost in the weeds with so many KPIs that you kind of forget. I like how you just summarized it: safe piece of equipment, high quality product. At the end of the day, those two things have to be like everything else is kind of pointing to those.
Exactly.
So that's
Yeah.
it's
And
good.
as we go through, essentially, a weekly analysis, and we also do a monthly analysis. And many times there will be continuous improvement projects that come out from that. And also, we're looking at our skills of our people, right? How could we continually build our teams, build our skills within our people, at the same time also focusing on the equipment? What are the losses that we're seeing? What do we need to do from a systemic standpoint that we can build in to eliminate that loss altogether?
It's good. Thinking, just trying to be a little bit maybe controversial, trying to introduce some of that. Is there anything in your job or field that you would say almost no one agrees with you about, right? Like you're kind of out there on your own. Here's some thinking maybe you're doing that you get pushback about. Is there anything like that?
Not that I know of. I don't know of anything that might be necessarily controversial. As I mentioned, I try and keep it very simple. And it's all about taking care of people the way that they need to be taken care of, and then taking care of the equipment the way it needs to be taken care of. And everything else is just systems and tools that we work with, right?
Right.
So I always spend a lot of time investing in people. So
That's
that
great.
might be slightly controversial
Yeah.
or different than some. Obviously, we do have to focus on the equipment, but I mean, our most important asset is our people. And so I think it's very important to invest in our people and understand that that they understand that we care about them. So any type of part of my reasoning or logic for doing that is being a strong cultural change agent, right?
Hmm.
So if there is something that we're wanting to, a new initiative or a change or just overall improvement in the process, we have to use people to do that, right? And I have found it's much easier to get them on board if they know that I'm doing this not only to improve the bottom line, but also improve our life, right? Because our company goals and individual goals need to meet. And if people see that and understand that, I'm not just driving a change to make it harder on them, it's
Right.
actually to benefit them in the long run, and in turn, as a shareholder in the company, it benefits them as well. I mean,
Yeah.
it just frees up more availability for us to, the better we run, the more we're able that we could essentially provide a better bonus or a higher raise. Driving out those losses ultimately will help them overall, in addition to the company. And
Right.
so, my focus is always trying to establish those relationships with our employees, and that they understand why we're doing what we're doing, and it enables them to be a more productive and engaged employee overall.
Right.
Not just being a robot, do this because I told you to, but
Sure.
understand the why of why we need them to be engaged, have their mind active, driving those losses out, because they're closer to the problem than I am, right?
Sure.
It's just up to me to help reduce those barriers and equip them and provide the tools that they can be engaged and driving out all the losses that they may have on their lines.
It's great. I was actually just thinking as you were talking, I mean, with just that emphasis on people, and then earlier you mentioned a bit of a dearth of people. Is kind of a robot tech or whatever that title would be going to be a bigger and in-demand position? I mean, if the future is a supplement to your workforce, then presumably now it's a whole nother piece of equipment that's going to need fixing.
Absolutely. Yes. It goes hand in hand, right? I mean, the more that you invest in people, it increases their skills, and essentially it does make them at a higher rate within the company, but also they're even more marketable, right, into the workforce, right?
Yeah.
So, but I would much rather, spend that time in the people. Um, it, it's not about necessarily loyalty, but oftentimes you will get some of that back in return, right? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Good. Good stuff. Well, when you think about your role, what would you say are tools that are indispensable for you to do your job? What would you say are like the key tools that you're using, either general or even specific brands or tools that you found useful?
Yeah. As I already mentioned, we want our people to be engaged and growing, but at the same time, we want to build rigor into the systems about maintaining our base conditions. So for us, um, I, we spend a lot of time investing in CILs, clean, inspect, lubricate. Identifying these tasks that they need to do to reduce force contamination on a piece of equipment, so it is more reliable, and building that in. So CILs is definitely one for us, and I know that's our TPM concept across most of industry is building that rigor and discipline in CILs. Center lining is one as well. So it's establishing strong startup procedures, how to set the equipment when you're making changeovers,
Hmm.
um, dynamic center lines. So what you should set air pressure settings at, speed, all these different types of settings, building rigor in that. So what we have done, we call it process confirmations, which is basically going to the Gemba, working with the operator and asking a series of questions to essentially verify that they are executing the system to the standard that we set up.
Hmm.
And we can identify gaps and or improvements in the system. So it's together building that capability from the person that is executing it, but also into our standard. So either we're not executing to the standard or we need to improve the standard against that.
Mm.
So doing those process confirmations, check-ins, uh, yeah, I know a lot of companies call it DMSs, daily management systems, right?
Okay.
So those are some of the tools that we do with that. So yeah,
It's good.
those are all key in my opinion to help us ensure reliability.
And related to that, just as the world of reliability moves more digital, there's more sensors, there's more data available, there's more technology systems to use. How do you kind of plan to take advantage of some of those with your reliability program?
It's continual, ongoing. We actually have I won't give the name, but a sensor manufacturer in house today.
Huh.
It's I saw a short demo before I had this call, but it's always looking for the opportunities to utilize technology to to make our lives easier, right? To
Right.
have on the lines, and I mean it's available. We're also looking at using some AI technology that's there. And you see a lot of that built in right into a lot of the sensors that are coming out. That they're basically they can learn or teach themselves based on the conditions and building that in. So that's one piece of it. I already mentioned the automation side of the
Yeah.
business as well. For us, putting tools in our employees' hands, it's not about a piece of paper and a pen anymore.
Right.
People have tablets. We build QR codes and put on a piece of equipment. So if someone wants to know how to say thread a tape machine, they can use their phone and scan the QR code and essentially gives them
A
our
menu. Yeah.
homegrown YouTube video or
Right.
whatever
That's
about
incredible.
how to do this, right? So we're continually building this in using the technology and tools that are available that people are comfortable with, which is usually phones, tablets, and such. So that's just a few pieces of how we're continually evolving or evolving and improving and using the tools that are coming out.
That's great. Well, we really appreciate you spending some time with us. So, again, this is Daniel Disney, plant manager at Sanofi, and we are just so thankful that you came on and are willing to share some of your experience and ideas. And we trust that many will benefit from it. So, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Have a great
Yep.
day.
And to the audience out there, we just want to keep encouraging you to pursue reliability. And as we always end our staff meetings with, let's go forth and make the world a more reliable place. Take care.